Hey YouTube, here it is. If you ever wanted to have a scientific or reasoned way you could argue with the solar man that keeps calling you up, or the guy at the store, the Home Depot or Lowe's, that keeps approaching you on solar system, here's a way to figure out if it works for you or not. The solar man, the salesman calls you or approaches you at the store, simply wants you to get an appointment for a guy and collect your summer electric bill or whatever, and they'll go by your high. They always ask you about what's your highest electric bill. So it's like a car salesman. He's like, well, how much can you afford to pay me per month for a car? Well, that's not the important thing. It's like, how much car can I get for the money I'm willing to pay? That's the proper question for the consumer. But for the seller, it's like, well, how much can I get from you? So the car dealer talks to you in terms of payments per month, dollars per month for payment, to see what they can jack you into as far as the highest rate for the most, maybe not the most car, highest rate they can, or profit they can get. Solar's similar. They always talk into, they know your highest electric bill, so they can jack you into a plan where you pay that every month, even though that's not your average bill. They pay that every month for their system, make it sound more attractive, or at least make it, if it's still not quite as competitive, make it more competitive than it really is. The right way to do it is pretty simple. Here's how you do it. You go and figure out what each month's kilowatt hours, that's the amount of energy used that's on your bill. Maybe do that for the last 12 months, kilowatt hours. And then another column over here is dollars per month. Here I have the total kilowatt hours and the total dollars for the year for me. Kilowatt hours for the year and dollars for the year for my electric bill. Here's the average dollars per month. That's the number you want to go by, your average dollars per month. Now, some people may say, well, wait a second. Well, don't wait till I finish. Use this number. This is one simplification, your average number. Then a column over here, energy used, I just transferred that. I took this number, bumped it up a little bit, because the way they do the solar credits for the electric company is each month of its own has to stand on its own as far as making at least as much electricity as you use. If you don't, they'll charge you for the amount you underproduce, and you don't get a credit for the next month for the amount you overproduce. That means in the summertime, when you're at peak demand during the air conditioning time in the summer, you get charged a rate of electricity, dollars per kilowatt hour or cents per kilowatt hour, that is higher than the rate of electricity you get, the rate you get paid for producing more electricity. So you're ahead of the game if you get a system big enough to where you never, ever have in 1 month a net usage of the power company's electricity. And to do that, you want to make sure it's big enough. So in this case, I used 11,700 kilowatt hours per year is the amount of energy I use. I bumped this figure a little bit. How much you bump it, if you bump it, I think you do want to bump it in every case. But how much, it's a swag figure. This much is pretty close because I have the actual electric bills, and year to year there's not much variance in sunshine. So, which comes to column 2. The amount of energy I use divided by 1,800. Now this is a constant number that only varies a little bit. This 1,800 is the amount of usable solar hours in a year. So as you know, the daylight may have 12 hours or more, but not all of those hours are usable for solar. Generally, the number I used to use was 2,000 hours a year, which was like, for where I live, it might be valid because I live in a pretty sunny area. Like if you live in Palm Springs, it'll be more than 1,800. But the usual figure that the solar man goes by and the general accepted number is 1,800 usable solar hours a year. So if you simply divide your kilowatt hours you use by the number of hours available, you come up with a system that's the size 6.5 kilowatts in this case. So the amount of energy you need divided by 1,800 gives you the size of your system, 6.5. That's a pretty typical size system. That's nothing out of the ordinary. Then this important number, I always ask the guy at the store or the guy on the phone to give me right away. If you know this one number, after you run through the sheet once on your own, you don't need anything other than this number to make an instant split-second decision on whether to even bother proceeding forward. This number is the dollars per installed kilowatt in this case, or it could be dollars per installed watt, either one. they're different by 1,000. So if it was dollars per installed watt, it'd be $2.80. In this case, it's dollars per installed kilowatt, so it's $2,800. It's the same cost. They sound big difference, but it's not. No difference at all, really. That means for my system, 6.5 kilowatts, this is the going rate right now. The last haggler that called puts me into the $18,200 range, which is after the 20 some odd % federal energy tax credit, which is a refundable credit. And they talk to you about these credits. You want to make sure they're always refundable. Now, state of California, where I live, used to have a credit. It's gone now. And the federal's been reduced, going down from like 30%. So you want to put in the price after the credit to get an honest analysis. So after the credit, it was $18,200 for my 6.5 kilowatt system. And that means installed $18,200. That means it includes the wiring, the labor, the panels, the inverter, the special switch, the everything. No hidden cost. That's the absolute grand total. Nails and screws, sealant for the holes, you name it. No add-ons, permits, everything. That's the price. Out the door, bottom line price. So those are the two numbers. This number drives this number based on the size of the system, which you determine from simply taking your energy usage, dividing by 1,800 hours a year. So that's sort of just straight through mathematics. Total price, $18,200. Utility cost is 18. That's a fact. That's a number you just get from your bill per year. And then the payback is simply the price of the system divided by the cost of the utility of what you're already paying. Now, here's a number that simplifies. There's always really complicated little nuances, calculations you could do, but I've basically, the way I do it, folds it all into this number. Based on all these other hard set numbers, how many years will it take you at the rate of paying your simple electric bill to pay it off? In this case, it's nearly 10 years. Now, you, as the spender of money, get to decide what's tolerable for you here. This is your return on investment, ROI, or payback. That is something you get to decide, not the solar man, not the guy next door. This is what you, for example, a person that wants to go green because it helps the environment may tolerate something on this order or more to get a system that takes them off the grid where carbon's being produced to make electricity. Another person like myself goes, no, I have a line drawn at 5 years, just as an even number, because my thinking is this: if I'm going to pay you for a system, I'm only willing to pay you 5 years what I pay the power company, and then I want a true absolute benefit after that. 10 years is too long for me to get that break-even point where I start enjoying an actual benefit of no electric bill and no payments on a system. Or if I do pay for it up front in cash, I realize an actual money out of my pocket benefit at 5 years, not 9.69 years. So it's that simple. Decide in advance what you're willing to tolerate as far as an ROI, a return on your investment, or payback time on your solar system. And then with that number up front, it drives this number, the installed price for your system. Your system you need over here is fixed. It's a reality of the hours of sun in a year and the actual usage on your electric bill. So there's no fudging there. Those two facts, hours of year for sun and the amount of energy you use, drive a system size, which all you need to know is a system cost per unit size. And that will drive this number directly because it'll relate to a total price and then divide by your utility cost per year. Now they could do it all sorts of different ways, but this is a very simple way based on ROI or payback, return on investment, that you can decide if solar is good for you. And my guess is, because in my case, this number needs to be about half, about 1,400. I'm going to change that to get to my 5 years. 4.84, so a little more. So really, the total price of the system would have to be on the order of $10,000. So the government, either the price of the system has to go down, cost of electricity over here has to go up, or government credits have to go up to make this number effectively lower, even though the paperwork may show it as at a higher price. So some way, somehow, this total price divided by my yearly electrical cost have to be 5 years in my case. You, again, may tolerate 15, 20 years, or it doesn't matter at all because you want to go real green and be a good New World Order citizen. That's fine. That's value to you. No one else can say different about it. Nobody can tell you what this number is good or bad for you. But this is the key number, and it drives the maximum cost of system that you can shell out, which would be total price here, including all government credits after they're all factored in. The number the bottom line absolute number out of your pocket cannot exceed this, and solar makes sense for you if you put it in an ROI. So that's it. Leave any comments or questions you have on this. I know they want to bamboozle when they come out. They have all these, here's your proposal for $25,000, $30,000 for this, for a 6.5 kilowatt system. And, that may make sense with a huge government subsidy, but those don't exist at the present time in February of 2021. So I hope this helps. Ask the solar man for this one number, and you can see the structure of this spreadsheet. I'll go through the columns. A is simply the sum of the yearly, which is over here, the total sum of all the electric kilowatt hours used. That's not the average, that's the sum, the total. The division of that by 1800 gives you the size of system you need. You need that first. That's the first number you need. Then you need to know the cost of the system over here, total price. This would be the total price. So you could put in your B2, your 6.5. You can divide this number by that to get your cost per kilo. This is just a number to know for the future. You don't need to do this step here, but it lets you know a number so you can, in your head, in the future when a solar man contacts you, hey, I just need this one number. They won't give it to you. I'll tell you right now, they won't give it to you because, one, they don't know what it is, and two, they want to set up an appointment so the haggler, the salesman, can come and convince you to spend 3 or 4 times what you really need to spend, or some 3 or 4 times what your target ROI is. But I put it there just for it's a nice to have. So total price, 6.5. We ask them what their price for that is, or another alternative, and they get that. They'll tell you that. You divide that number simply by the months of electricity, the years of electrical bill you have, which is over there, the sum. That's your sum of electricity for the year, not the average, but the sum. And you divide those two, price of the system divided by your total yearly electrical cost. They'll also give you, if you have to remember to make this even simpler, just total price of system divided by electrical cost in dollars for your electric bill a year, total bill. You get a payback, real easy math. And whatever that number is, if that number in that simple division problem makes sense to you, yeah, you're good to go for solar. But make sure before you do that this is an absolute, this number, to be fair, is the total sum of the system, the absolute cost of the system minus any important refundable tax credits. Not like, if you want it refundable so that if you don't owe income tax anyway, you still get the cash back in your pocket. Otherwise, the tax credit doesn't make any sense. So even if it's amortized over years, you want it all back in the same year you spend the money. And usually if that's the case, if they're having it refundable, the solar company will take that credit up front and give you a net price that includes all the credits up front. But get that number, take that number if you want to have them show up, because you're not going to get that. You're not going to be able to get the dollars per installed watt or dollars per installed, thousands of dollars per installed kilowatt. Eventually have them show up, give you this number, divide it by the total electric bill for the year, and just simply gives you the number of years to pay back and break even. And it's that simple. If that number there, the payback, doesn't jive with something that you feel is reasonable for you, it's a simple no answer. It's just that simple. I did the guy, of course, they want to come out, but I told him, look, I need one and only one number. I asked for this, the actual consultant. He should know it. The salesman should know this number, but I think they don't want them to know this number. It's too much information. It's too complicated for them. But you ask the guy, just give me a quote on a 6.5 kilowatt system for my standard house or whatever. And then you do the math, you divide. If they give you a cost of installed system, the rest of this follows naturally. They didn't give me this. They didn't give me this. They gave me this. So I just simply did the math against this. and figured out, in my case, it was back to that other figure, that 9-year figure, 10-year figure. So anyway, hope that helps. Solar, it's not as complicated as these guys would have you believe. There's a few steps if you want to calculate from scratch based on your energy usage, and total bill sum for the year. But the best way is to probably have to go through it anyway is get a price quote and divide that by the bill you pay in a year and get the number of years to pay back. Thank you very much. Hope this helps with the solar is the fad of solar at the present time. It makes sense on a municipal level because they can get this number down. The cost of system installed can get way down on a big system versus a smaller system. So solar is a wonderful thing. Let me put it this way. Solar is nothing short of wonderful. It is the way to power energy, get energy for our needs. But what's really the best way to do it is very, very, very large plants. If America had 3 terawatts of capacity to generate power along the, say, the Mexico-United States border where the sun shines the brightest, for the United States, it would be enough to supply essentially all the energy needs of the United States, period, without any other kind of source of energy needed. So no doubt energy is great, but you just want to pay sky high for something that it's good, but you don't want to pay super excellent prices for just a good system. Hope this helps anybody. Bye-bye.